Hi everyone, welcome to Legal Limelight. I have a super special guest today. We're going to give it a couple minutes for everyone to come in, but today's guest is Jessica Dennehy from Pivot and Slay. I'm so excited to chat with her today. Hey Jessica. Gonna have you hop up on here. Hi.
Hi, what's
Oh,
up?
and we're twinning.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. So when we first met, I think I liked it the really subdued, subtle pink. And then my hairdresser was like, you should do bold. And I'm like, yeah, it'll look like Jessica. Cool. So you inspired me.
Awesome.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Everything is wonderful. How about you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for coming on today. So I'm really excited about this. Let me give Jessica a brief intro. So Jessica's a 2 times best-selling author, speaker, and coach on a mission to empower leaders to pivot their businesses, slay their goals, and enjoy the freedom that comes with success. Through her company, Pivot and Slay, she helps entrepreneurs embrace their CEO power, exit their comfort zones, and start taking the risks necessary for success. She left her legal career on Wall Street a decade ago to build and scale her first company, Mad Men Barbershop. And as a recovering attorney, love that, small business owner and yoga enthusiast, her unique style guides entrepreneurs with actionable items that they need to shift their mindset and take their businesses to the next level. She is in pretty much all the main media outlets. She's been featured in Inc., Forbes, Entrepreneur, and New York Weekly, and so much more. And like I said, she's the best-selling author of the books Pivot and Slay and Startup Legends. So I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Okay, so let's just get right into it. So you say that you're a recovering attorney. What was it about? What were you doing at, what were you doing in your law practice at the time that, let me go back and repeat that. I want to be really clear. What were you doing as an attorney when that lightning bolt hit you, like, I need to stop and I need to do something different?
So my dream job was to work on Wall Street and as an attorney, which is something I accomplished. And I thought like, oh my God, I made it, right? I did what I set out to do. And, now I'm doing the thing that I had been dreaming of. And I did that straight out of law school. And it was great because, as you probably know, lawyers don't really get an opportunity to do a lot of fun stuff straight out of the gate. Usually they have to work their way up by doing lots of document review. I was on trial, I was in depositions, I was having a blast. But after about the 8-year mark, I started to get get that feeling that I was like a little bit caged. And that's kind of when my whole life shifted. So I was working for the New York Stock Exchange as a regulatory attorney. And all of a sudden I started to like really have expanded my knowledge of that world and just come into my own confidence as a lawyer. And I started to disagree with some of the things that I was told I had to do and some of the cases I was told I had to take. And I kind of started feeling this like, I don't know, the best way I could describe it is I just felt this pressure and this cage, like I didn't have any freedom to think for myself. And then I didn't have any time freedom. And I didn't have any alignment freedom because I'm not a typical attorney, which you could probably relate to, right? Like I'm fun and I have a lot of personality and I'm not like a stuffy office kind of person. So I started to feel like all of these limitations, and that's kind of when I knew I needed something else, but I wasn't quite sure what that would be because up until that point, I had curated my entire life to have this exact job that I had.
So then what was the first thing, in your bio, you talk about Mad Men Barbershop. So what was it that made you think, I'm going to go in this direction?
That was not my concept or my baby. That kind of came up because at the time I was married and my ex-husband was, he was the entrepreneur in the group. Like I was not. I had a corporate job, I had a corporate mindset. And even though when I started to feel like something was calling me, I still couldn't identify like what that was or what that would mean for me. So he had conceptualized this high-end barbershop idea. It was something, you know, he's a guy, so he was kind of sick of going to a woman's salon or like some kind of like tiny little barbershop that hadn't been updated in ages. So he came up with this concept of a luxury barber shop. And I was like, cool, like if you're passionate about that, like go for it. Let's do it. Here's the money, you do it, and I'll finance it and I'll keep working on Wall Street. And I kept getting progressively more unhappy with my job. And he was so lit up by this opportunity. So he went out and like, you know, I was helping, but it wasn't like my baby. But it was through that ownership of Mad Men that I really started to come into my own and realize like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to be able to do something fun and something different and learn something new, but also be able to have the home life that I've been wanting too. Because, you know, as a lawyer, it's hard to pull away from the office. But as a business owner, you get more control. So that was kind of the first moment.
And so, like, I love your whole concept, pivot and slay the day, total empowerment. And I always talk about pivoting because that was the word I had a similar situation, Jessica, where I was in big law and I hit burnout, like made myself sick to the point where, you know, I ended up having my son 2 months early. Like, I don't know if that was the direct cause, but like all of the stress and anxiety, it really came to a head at the point where I was like, okay, this isn't good for my health. This isn't good for anyone. So after having my son, I took some time to bond with him and think about my life. And that was the word that came to my mind was, all right, I need to pivot. So when you came up with your concept, like what was that? What does pivot and slay mean to you?
Okay, so pivot and slay is funny. It came up because I realized after 10 years at the stock exchange and 10 years doing Mad Men, I've learned so much. So I have this whole background of corporate law from the standpoint of regulatory legal background. And then I have this whole concept of business from a small business mom and pop background. And I was like, man, this is some like real juicy goodness that I could use to help other entrepreneurs because I feel really empowered and really passionate about helping people because I just think entrepreneurship, if done the right way, can be so freeing and such an expansive experience. So I wanted to help other people feel that. So I decided that I was going to start to do some small business consulting. And I just ended up loving it so much that I formalized it into what's now Pivot and Slay. And I was on this podcast. I hadn't even named the company yet. I was just like helping people for free at first during the pandemic. And I was on this podcast and I listened back to it and I realized I had like said a pivot a lot. And then I said something to someone who's known me for a while and they're like, you've always used that word. Like that's your word. And I'm like, really? I don't think I ever heard myself say it before, but it makes sense because I'm a Friends addict and like they use that word in a famous scene of them moving the couch. And I thought, well, to me, pivot is not the way it was used in the pandemic, which is kind of a knee-jerk reaction to a set of circumstances. That's not what it means to me. To me, it's like something's coming at you and you're like, well, I'm still going to kill it. So how am I going to do this? I'm going to have to maneuver, right? I'm going to have to shift and adapt. And to me, that a pivot is that purposeful, intentional movement where you're like, all right, hurdle, come and get it. I'm still going to slay it anyway. And without the slay part, it's just erratic. So you have to like move with intention so that you can continue to slay your goals. And it's basically how all entrepreneurs live, even if they're not realizing it, because you can have the best laid plan, probably not going to work out the way you intended. So you got to be ready to adapt.
Totally. Nothing in life. I think COVID, you know, showed that. But also, I mean, out of the pandemic, people record profits for companies. People figured out how to do things more efficiently and spend more time with their kids. Whatever it is that makes you happy. And so I think like I love that instead of it being a knee-jerk reaction to something that is like, oh shit, and negative, it's thinking, how do I take this obstacle and make lemonade out of lemons?
Absolutely, I agree.
So then what did you create? Because you said you started just like helping people for free. What evolved out of that? Like, what is Pivot and Slay?
So what happened was during the pandemic, I was applying for loans like many companies were. And I'm like, man, I'm a lawyer and this is hard. Like how's the average business owner without a legal background navigating these documents and, getting their business back on track? So I started to go live on my Instagram page, which I had used for Mad Men before that. And I was just helping people. I'm like, here's how to get a loan. Here's how to fill out the paperwork. Here's what it means. And then so people would come on, similar to what we're doing now,
Yeah.
and ask me business questions. And I'm like, okay, there's a need in the marketplace for this. Sweet. All right, awesome. And it's unusual because I have that law background, even though I'm not practicing at the moment. Like that's still how my brain works. And there's something valuable with that. So eventually I decided like I really like working with people who are trying to scale their businesses because that's something I've done several times over with Mad Men as we grew and grew. And I enjoy talking about that because it takes both mindset and grasping that inner confidence plus business strategies. So my coaching company was born out of that combination, which I think is the winning combo and like the 1-2 punch is like I can give you strategies all day long. A lot of business owners can, but if you don't show up empowered and confident and sure of yourself and who you are and what you stand for, those business strategies will fall short because brand really starts with culture and authenticity and the owner. And so building a brand is different than just owning a business. So that's who I like to work with. And so Pivot and Slay is really geared towards consulting and coaching entrepreneurs who are trying to build and scale their brands.
Oh, I love that. It's obviously so needed. You're right. Not only did a lot of people, go in a different direction, maybe start consulting themselves or becoming independent contractors, but a lot of people started side hustles. I have a lot of lawyer friends that are not just attorneys. They have coaching on the side. They have courses. I just feel like being at home, people realize instead of watching Netflix all day or during, 5 to 9 at night, I could be creating something and having some either passive income or something that I do. So it's total need. I'm really excited to talk more about it. But I want to go back to something that you said. You started this out of providing value.
Yes.
For free. Okay, so can you just talk a little bit about that? I mean, is that something that you teach people and focus on? Is like giving value?
Yes, I believe that is the most important way that you can grow your brand is just to constantly provide value. And what people think oftentimes is, well, what I have is so valuable, I'm going to completely hoard it and not give it to anybody else because that's my value. But that actually is not that's not the way to build relationships, because if you think about all the people that you interact with and you purchase things from, it's because you like them. It's because you like them. And what's a better way to be liked and trusted but to provide value? Like if I'm constantly giving information and helping people, they're going to know that my heart's in the right place. They're going to understand that I'm an authority in my niche. And then when they need me for something, they'll eventually come back around and purchase from you because of all of the value you've added to their life. And so in that regard, I've even created this new entrepreneur group where I'm hosting these free events for any entrepreneur. And I'm getting people like me and others who've written books, who've done big things, who own restaurants, who've been on television to come and speak to my group just to add value. And the funny part is when I first launched it, people were skeptical because they're not used to people just wanting to help and add to your life. So I can tell you from personal experience that the more I give, the more that energy comes back to me, and the more positive. Okay. I got a call. Did you come back? I had a call interrupt us.
Oh, no. You're good. You're good. We lost you for like a second. But so I think this is something that's, yeah, you're back. Let's see. I'm going to turn my Wi-Fi off. Just give me 1 second. A little bit. Is that better?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Sweet.
Okay. So like, I'm not done with this concept yet because it's something that until last night, Jessica, like I came running into the room with my husband and I'm like, I have an epiphany. And that epiphany is you have to build value and community for free in order to really build the business that you want.
Yeah,
And
I
like,
agree.
I'm like a maniac saying this, and he's like, I know, but Francesca, you've been doing that. And then I looked back and I'm like, this is Jessica, this is why I have the show. I want my community to know you. I want to give you value. I want to spotlight you, but also it's a great opportunity for you to meet me and see who I am and how, what I'm about. And that has been like, all the people I've done my legal limelights with have literally become my friends. If you look back. So I think people really need to not just focus so much on the hardline numbers or paid community or making like a small sale on a course, because that's something I struggled with. So do you have any advice for entrepreneurs who are trying to figure that out, navigating between, obviously making money, but trying to build a community and give value?
Yeah, I think the more value you bring, the more money you will make, but it won't be tomorrow. And I think that's what people need to understand is like building this reputational currency. It takes time. It takes time to build, and it's not a quick fix for your financial problems. It's something that comes from the heart, and it has to be something that you're genuinely passionate about. And just remember that you, even when you tell someone exactly how to do something, they still don't want to do it. You know, they are still going to come back to you and be like, this is your lane. Like, you do it for me, I'll pay you. That's
Yeah.
just how the world works. And if you think about your own life, you operate that way too. Like, can I mow my lawn? Probably. Do I? No, I don't, because I could pay someone to do it, right? So this guy could come here and tell me exactly how to take care of my lawn. I'm probably going to be like, great, you seem to know what you're doing. Why don't you do it for me? Here's some bunch of money. It's the same concept for you. So don't be afraid to share what you know.
It's just, I love it because like, maybe you were like, the universe is conspiring us to come together, because I really struggled. And like, I'm pretty honest, right? Like, I have a law school community, and I thought to attract people to it, like people who really wanted to commit, it had to be paid. And then I'm listening to Clubhouse and all these other people, telling me like, you have to have a paid community. So I did a paid community, and I think it's great, and but I'm trying to go above and beyond to the point that it's stressing me out. And it's an affordable sum, but I feel like, why did I even put a price tag on it? I'm going to revamp it and give them 10 times the value and make it about community. So, do you have any tips for people who are trying to build like a course or an actual community? Would you tell them that they should do something for free, like, or that they should be, having a paid product as well?
Well, I think you can do both, but it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. But what I can say is if you're building something for free, it's a perfect way to get in front of people and show them your expertise and show them your value, that eventually you can upsell them into something paid. So you should have something paid, waiting in the balance, but that doesn't have to be what you choose to do out of the gate. And the great thing about building a free community is that you can actually do some market research by seeing what your audience would find most valuable, and then you can create the paid product based off of what they think is valuable, because that might not be the same thing you were
Yes.
thinking at first.
Okay. That's where I realized I did it the opposite. So I made a paid product. I said, a lot of law students come to me for mentoring. I'm just going to throw up a paid product and we'll build it. Now I realize I want community. It's not the paid product that I care about. I'm literally trying to build a tribe of powerhouse young female attorneys that are like us, Jessica, that can be unapologetically female. Like if that's my mission, then I need to share it with as many people as possible. And then when I'm ready, when I've articulated like what it is that I want to offer them to give even more value, then the paid product will come. Does that make sense?
Exactly. It makes total sense. Yeah.
But
A
all
lot
the
of
other
people do
crap
it
you're
your
hearing
way
about.
because people are like really into the dollar amount. And I think what they don't realize is you will get the money, but if you're looking for a quick fix, like that's not going to do it. And you have to be here for the long haul. And that's why it should be something that you're passionate about anyway.
I love that. Yeah. And it's just something that I think gets missed, especially if you spend a lot of time on Clubhouse and following just all the coaches. It's focused on money, right? Less community and value.
Every room on Clubhouse is like 7-figure sales, every single room. It's like, okay, we get it. Like obviously there's tons of people who can teach you how to make 7-figure sales, but what you can't replicate is the genuine passion behind something. So people are going to see that. And like, so at my meetups, my entrepreneur meetups, the best compliments I get are when people are like, we're here for your energy. Like your energy just radiates the room. We know you're going to bring it. We know, we don't even care who the speaker is. Like we know that it's going to be valuable. Like that means so much to me. That means so much to me because they see my passion. So like they're all leaning in, right? My name, Pivot and Slay, is all everywhere. I sponsor them all, right? I'm doing it on my own dime. So they see it. I'm getting traction, but it's not like I converted 50 people last week. Like that's not the mission either, like make your mission genuine and pure and everything else will come back eventually.
Oh, so many good tidbits. I have to take notes. I loved the thing you said about the currency. I'm going to go back and watch this and pull all the tidbits out, Jessica. So we're actually almost coming up to the end. I feel like I could talk forever. But how can people work with you? Like, let's say they are entrepreneurs, they do have a side business, they don't know where to begin. How can they come into your community and how can they work with you?
So you can follow me here on Instagram or Facebook at the Jessica Dennehy. And you can find my website, pivotandslay.com, and there's free resources on there that you can get. There's my book, which is also called Pivot and Slay, and you can also apply for my coaching program.
Amazing. Jessica, I'm so excited. We will have to do another one, and I'm going to come to the in-person meetup to get your energy in real life because this isn't enough.
I would love that. I would love that. Please come. I'd love to meet you in person.
Yes. Thank you again, Jessica, and thanks to everyone who watching. This was another Legal Limelight, and we will see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.